today I'm going to fix a little problem that I've had, not on the T120 but on this beastie here. This is my latest acquisition. This is a BSA B44 Victor from 1968, and I've done one or two little jobs on it since I bought it. It was in very good condition when I got the bike, but well, you might just be able to see down there that little pool of oil next to the front wheel. Well, the front forks are leaking, the stanchions are leaking. It's not the oil seals, it's actually some washers, or should I say some bolts, that fit in the bottom of the fork tubes here, and they hold the damper tubes inside the fork tube. And there's I think it's a 5/16 BSF Allen bolt that goes through the bottom of the fork tube into the damper tube, and it should be sealed with an aluminium crush washer. When I took them apart initially, there were no crush washers in there. I bought some crush washers, correct part number, they didn't fit. Right, so this is the parts manual for the bike, and you might just be able to see there, that's the bolt, and above it shows the washer. And those are the bolts and those are the washers. These are some that I've sourced recently, and hopefully these are going to fit, because the other ones I got that were supposed to be the correct part were much too large on the outside diameter and also too thick. You're very short of space in the bottom of those fork tubes, as I'll show you later on. So I've removed the front mud guard because it makes it a bit easier to get to the drain screws at the bottom of the fork sliders or tubes, whatever you want to call them. I've also removed the bash plate from under the engine because I'm going to have to jack it up in a bit to get the front wheel out. As I say, I've removed the drain screws that are in the bottom of here, and as you can see there's a fair bit of oil dripped out of that one, but that one, there ain't much oil at all, so that's the one that's been losing oil. This is about the third time I've tried to sort this out. As I say, the first time I took it apart and I expected to have to fit fibre washers, but discovered they weren't fibre washers, they should be like aluminium crush washers. So I ordered some aluminium crush washers, which came, the correct part number and everything, but as I said earlier, the OD of the washer was far too large to fit into the recess in the bottom of the fork tube. So as a bodge job, I wrapped PTFE tape around just under the head of the bolt to see if I could get it to seal, and it did a reasonable job, but obviously it's not done it satisfactorily. So now I've ordered some new crush washers from a company, and these appear to be the correct size, so that's what I'm planning on fitting this morning. And so my next task now is to jack the bike up and get the front wheel out. So I've got the front wheel out, the bike's jacked up, the fork legs I've taken off the top nuts on the forks to get the oil to drain a bit better. And my next job is to get these damper tube bolts out the bottom of these fork sliders, so that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to bore you a little bit longer, but there's a good reason why any old washer won't do on this job, and it's because that bolt screws up inside there where the spindle for the wheel goes through. It's a just fit. There's a cutout just wide enough for that head of that Allen bolt to fit in. So if the washer is larger or sticks out further than the diameter of the bolt head, it won't go into the recess. Also, if the washer's too thick, when you tighten it up, the head of the bolt, very, very minute amount, is proud of the inside of the spindle hole, and you can't get the wheel spindle in. So that's why they've got to be of a certain thickness and of a certain outside diameter. So that's the reason why I've been having all this problem trying to find something that'll fit, and hopefully these will. So I've got these bolts out of the bottom of the fork tubes. I don't know whether this is going to show up or not on the video, but these are the original bolts, and they have actually got a groove down the length of them. What the purpose of that is, I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to be putting the original bolts back anyway with these crush washers that I've purchased. All the videos I've seen on YouTube, nobody's ever actually removed the damper tubes from these types of forks. It seems that from 1966 onwards, I've been looking at all the parts manuals online, and from 1966 onwards they started fitting damper tubes inside the forks. Prior to that they weren't fitted. This was a modification for 66 onwards till about 1970, when they went on to the aluminium forks with aluminium tubes at the bottom. Right, so yeah, most people don't take them out. On all the videos I've seen, they couldn't get them out, they were seized up, so they didn't bother taking them out. I'm not taking them out because, as far as I know, there's nothing wrong with the forks other than this right hand leg won't hold the oil in. And strangely enough, although these bolts are 5/16 BSF, you need a 5.5mm Allen key to get them out. I've got a set of imperial Allen keys and a set of metric Allen keys, and I didn't have one that would fit, so I had to buy a 5.5mm Allen key, and that gets them out fine. I found that sometimes they will slacken off. Once they've slackened off, you might find that the damper tube rotates inside the fork leg. And I've found that if you put a very slim screwdriver up through the drain plug hole, you can just kind of sprag the damper tube while you undo the bolt. You may have to do the same to get them back in. So I'm now going to fit these crush washers, tighten it up, put it all back together, and hope and pray to God that the damn thing doesn't leak. Right. Okay then, as you can probably see, I've got the wheel spindle in through the fork leg. I didn't initially. After I'd fitted the bolt, the spindle still would not go through, so I finished up filing a bit off the head of the cap head bolt, so it would actually clear the spindle here. We're only talking thousandths of an inch, but it's just enough to stop this from sliding in here. It doesn't appear to be an issue on the other side, because the diameter, the interside diameter of the fork leg is much larger than the spindle, because it actually threads into that end. The only other thing is you've got this bit of a spigot here on the brake drum that locates in that cutaway there in the other fork leg. So it's just a case of reassembling now, topping up with oil, and hoping and praying that these crush washers do the trick and stop me having this annoying leak. Okay then, finally got her all back together, mudguard back on, wheeling and oiling the forks, everything adjusted and set up. So it's just a case now of time and see whether it's cured this leak or not, fitting these soft aluminium crush washers. Hopefully it'll do the trick, and I'll have a relatively oil tight BSA Victor. Okay then, I'll see you.